when the mountains totally disappeared, the solitary ark was between water and heaven. So the lack of the mountains, the covering of the mountains, became the new stable point with just the ark and heaven above and the water below.
So it's a new earth level.
So again, now we've got another new reality. Before there was still a place where things could theoretically have survived. They could have reached that top peak and still done something. Now there was no chance for the life that was there before. And it's just the water and the survivors in the ark and divine mercy above. And that's the situation now.
So it's not good for Capricorn.
Why does the Torah say Teharim in the two contexts? Like the first one with
So you're talking in the sentence before with the Parshat?
Parshat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it says Vayechusu kol Teharim, and here Vayechusu Teharim. And why was it reiterated like that?
Because before we were emphasizing that on the tops of the mountains that were above the clouds, there was still this place where, even though you couldn't see them, that there was actually sunlight against a face of earth. So the question is that sort of a new place that could have had some existence, and that's why it's got its Parshat. And now we're coming to the realization that even that is gone, and we've stabilized without that. So that's why the last time we had a Parshat, because we were emphasizing that it's still another sort of area, dimension, plane that needs to have been addressed by the flood. Yes or no, is that going to survive? And finally we get to the stability of no, that's not there either. So that's why before we had a Parshat, and now we're at Sof Pasuk. We truly are at the end of it. And
for the first time, we didn't say that the mountains were covered then also?
So the mountain, we said that even the top part of the mountain could have had some sunlight above the level of the clouds, even that was covered.
When did we say that?
We said that at the end of the last. We said that at the end of the last sentence, and now we're saying that not only are they covered, they're covered 15 amos higher than that, and that's the level of stability. So not only that, it's not visible, but it's not even accessible. It's that deep under the water. And we have a remark. We're on page 40. At this stage, the ark was excluded from the jurisdiction of the earth, representing an extraterrestrial entity. The judgment over the dry land no longer applied to the box, which was separately treated by an attitude of mercy alone. The simultaneous coincidence of those two opposite directions of attitude, judgment along with mercy, is a frequent feature of many biblical occurrences, e.g. the plagues, the crossing of the sea, etc. So we have different names that we attribute different names of Hashem, that we attribute different aspects of His emanation or thought towards a particular situation or group of people at the time. And quite often we will see the balance between them. We'll see Hashem Elokim, where we have both of these attitudes mixed together in a variety of circumstances. So when we go through the first Breshit story, we start with Elokim. The entire first chapter of Breshit, we deal with Elokim. We deal with judgment only. And then when man comes onto the scene, we see that there is no way for man to survive with the strictest of judgment. And when we go into the second chapter of Breshit, we go to Hashem Elokim. We go to this balance of putting some mercy into the concept of judgment, and therefore the judgment is not so strict. The judgment actually has the heavenly aspect of strictness to it, but you can realize the mercy within that if you look deep enough, or if you can truly understand the motivation of the situation. So it's not that the justice disappears; it's that the justice in and of itself truly was merciful.
So
So
in
where
the
is this
beginning,
coming from? All
in
of
the
a sudden?
beginning,
So the question is, where is this coming from? Why is he mentioning this?
But the words
He's mentioning this because there's no name of God mentioned in the pasuk. So why are we coming to this concept? And that's probably from the stabilizing idea of Haharim, the mountains disappearing, the last possible refuge of life disappearing. So what's left? When the last possible refuge is 15 amos underwater, the things that are left at this point of stability are the water, the ark, and God above, and that's it. And that's why he's got to introduce at least that concept here, because that point of stability seems to be a very harsh point.
So where's the mercy?
The mercy is that the ark. So we've had two psukim that don't mention the ark. That don't mention the ark.
That don't mention the ark, right?
Two psukim in a row that seem to be talking about land features and things that are disappearing. The water's coming from below. The water's coming from above. The snow and the ice on top of the mountains are melting. The mountains that are above the clouds are disappearing. The water is continuing to go even above that and seems to be going on and on. And then we have this stability. The water seems to be perhaps stopping and leveling off. And we have this new stability without anything that was possible to sustain life. So all of a sudden, what does that new stability really mean? And that's why he's introducing the concept here. That there is some mercy. And yet, it's not, we haven't, in fact, mentioned that the flood is stopping yet.
Well,
But
we actually mentioned Hashem's name, have we?
So that was why we were asking.
Right. So that's why we're asking the question.
Yeah.
Why is the author at this point introducing the fact that there's a concept of mercy going on here? And the question is, what type of stability truly is this, unless you bring the ark back into the equation? We continue. We didn't read the pasuk. Chamesh esrei ama milmala gavru hamayim vayechusu harim. 721. We're on page 40, in the middle of the column there, with a gershayim. Gershayim are the two notes. They're sort of backwards-looking pashtas that are on top of the vav there. So again, because it's a two-part note, we're going to see two things about it. Because it's backwards-looking, we're going to say that it's referring backwards. So we're going to look for both of those concepts, something that's double and something that's looking backwards in this word vayigva. And it perished. Each living body that was on the ground had suffocated by the water, and it perished, as referred backwards by the double directional shape of the reading mark. So why are we double?
Perhaps because it's defensive. In other words, it's not like they're mostly gone, but there's a few left. And they're all gone. In other words, it's emphatic in its totality.
So certainly, Gershayim is a note that flags a word and makes it more emphatic. So I agree with that concept being related to Gershayim. But the question is, what's the doubleness about here? And maybe we'll have to go on.
I mean, there's no, like you said before, there's no hope of, let's say, a mountain go climbing to the top of the it's the end.
Well, yeah, not if the highest point is still 15 cubits below. That's it.
We'll come back to it. Kol basar.
Wait, is there any note there's no single Gershayim, right? Like a mirror image of a Parshat.
It's called Azla Gerish.
Oh, Azla Gerish, right.
So yes, there is.
Oh yeah, there is. Okay, so let's say there's an Azla Gerish that would have had the same. I mean,
So that would
you're
be
trying to distinguish between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Why it's not Azla Gerish, that's it. But why would it even be Azla Gerish? What's it referring back? What's the back part? Because the Gershayim has to have that double thing, right?
We're now looking back. We had talked 2 whole psukim about land features,
right.
And now we're looking back also to talk about animals and living creatures. So that's why we're looking backwards, because we have to reach back to get to the living creatures again.
That's the back, right? The double.
I'm just
So,
looking at...
I mean, it might just be from the ratio and the sake of the pasuk that in the beginning in the first half of this pasuk we're talking about all means of animals, and in the second half of the pasuk we're talking about b'chol ha'adam and people. So it's separating out people from animals, and that might just be the doubleness that we're seeing here. That we have this separation in the first half of the sentence, kol basar ha'omes al haaretz, of, behema, chaya, sheretz. So we have all of those categories until the et nachta, and then b'chol ha'adam, the man separated out, and that might be our doubleness there. That the drowning is both of those categories.
I'm just looking at 714 on page 32.
Yep.
And we see that there's a direct commandment of God, or a direct, what's the word? God has arranged the circumstances so that on the ark there will be chaya, behema, romes, of, which are like similar to the ones that are mentioned here. So I'm wondering if vayikva with the Gershayim means this too is the decree of God. The decree of God is these species are destined to live on the ark, in the extraterrestrial ark of mercy, and these species are determined to die, and they are equally recipients of the intention of God.
Well, since you mentioned that pasuk, I just noticed that sheretz is not mentioned in one of those. In this one, in the first one. So maybe that's the double. Now everything that Sue mentioned from pasuk 32.
Well, we don't have sheretz and we don't have off mentioned in our pasuk.
Okay, so that's even better.
There's off, and there is off, kol ha'of laminevu, kol tzipor kol kanaf.
But it's in a separate sentence. So that's
No, it's the same sentence.
14?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you look page 32.
Page 32, 33. Sheretz is the only one not mentioned. So that could account for the doubling, that you were looking for another doubling. So sheretz is the only one not mentioned. Yeah, for sure, because creepy crawlies aren't going to climb to the top of Mount Everest. So we solved the double mystery. That's good. Thanks, Sue.
If that's what it is.
Well, that's all we have for now. We're going to take it.
Kol basar, number 2, all flesh, with the munach. So this is a combination of notes. Munach revi'i. When you see munach revi'i, there's always a strong pause after the first munach, even though it's not written in there. If you want, you can draw a solid straight line after the word basar. So like this, you'll have a complete pause after that first munach, and that's always the way this construct goes, munach revi'i. and he will mention it, so we'll talk about it in a moment. All flesh whose life depended on breathing air vanished without a trace, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark and by the following psik. So this line that I've drawn, that's a stop. So normally a munach separates itself from what's come before and moves forward, but we're going to move forward and then we're going to stop again.
So it's like a wall on each side of it.
So
right?
we've got a wall on each side.
And that goes for the second one too?
That only goes for the first
Only
one
goes
in
for-
this combination.
There's-
Munach, munach, revi. So
Are there ever three munachs?
there can be before a pazer or before another note.
I think
Those ones do not always have a psik, do not always have this hard pause after them.
How do you know there is one?
Munach, munach, revi always has a psik
According to
after the
him
first
or
munach, according to any tikkun that you have. That's the combination.
But how would you know that the line's not there?
It's always there. It's
Oh,
it's a rule of munach, munach, revi. That's the way it
about
always
a
is.
singular or what do you mean? It's a rule.
Munach, munach, revi. There was always a pause after that first munach.
So if there was three, there wouldn't necessarily be?
There's that combination, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't appear. Munach, 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 revi does not appear.
However,
But
that's what I thought you said it did.
But munach, munach,
Pazer,
or munach, 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 pazer, I believe does agree, that does happen.
And that wouldn't have that necessarily.
And that doesn't have the psik, that doesn't have that hard pause in between. So again, it's the nature of that combination. So this
But isn't
word
munach, I know we-
basar
yeah.
is going to separate itself out from everything else. So we're going from the broad concept of kol basar, and then we're going to go into various categories. So that's why we're saying, here's the concept, kol basar, anything that's got flesh, and then we're going to say all of the other categories that it might fit into. So he says all flesh whose life depended on breathing air vanished without a trace, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So and by the psik afterwards. So this is something that's going to be isolated. It's going to be gone in all of its forms. It's going to be literally enveloped by the water from being able to continue.
But getting back to the note, isn't by the very, you said that was the psik, isn't it, I might have missed it when we did the names, but if we did the names, but in the very...
So the munach is separating itself out from what's gone before,
right,
and it seems to be leading forward.
that looks like the shape.
But
But
then we have the psik that says, well, there's nothing coming after that.
that psik is
So-
invisible, right?
That psik is
Not just-
some of the Tanachim will have it
As a
printed.
note? What do you mean? Like
When
how?
I'll find a chumash.
So I'm saying by the word munach, doesn't it imply that there would be a psik? Munach, that it's like
No.
Noah, this one. But
No,
nah, it's to rest, so it rests
So-
before it goes on. I want to do the names because I think that's significant at some point. He could help us with Gershayim and Asbagerish, which is with the names of the notes itself. The same way the shapes, they come up, the shapes indicate by the shape, he needs this, by the shape of the reading mark. But does he ever say by the name of the reading mark? That's
No.
interesting.
He never
The directional
does.
shape, well,
Kol
maybe that's what it
basar,
can mean to do.
kol basar with the psik after it.
I can't see it. Can you pass it?
I'm going to pass that around.